what to call this. Maybe draw in chat, sketch in chat, sketch chat, something like that. If you have any ideas, let me know. And today, you see me going through these reference photos here. We're going to be drawing a group shot of my party members. Well, I guess they're not my party members, but the party members from the Dungeons and Dragons campaign that I'm currently DMing. And I've drawn each of them individually, as you saw as I cycled through the drawings. But now that I've drawn each of them, now I want to draw them all together in what's commonly called a group shot. It's I think it's mostly a comic book term. However, they do use that term in filmmaking as well. When you have more than 3 people together, because 3 or less, they generally call it a 1-shot, 2-shot, 3-shot, which I believe the comic books use as well. But anyway, there's going to be 5 members, so it's definitely going to be called a group shot. And as cycle through here, as you can see, I learned, well, actually, I kind of taught myself a few tricks. I realized I can make this overlay and kind of give everything a home for a more organized look. And you see these images cycling on the left-hand side. I'm actually cycling through the sub-view window in my Clip Studio Paint program because I learned that I could anchor, whatever it's called, embed or nestle that window there permanently, even when I have the sub-view visible or not. How many people do that? Anyway, so yeah, so here we are. We're looking at a 11 by 8.5 inch piece of paper at 350 DPI. We're at 50% zoom. 100% zoom will look like that. Pull up my ref here. First of all, I think it's probably a good idea to go through every program or every video really quickly with just what I'm working on at the time, in case this is the first video that any artist has come across. They know what's going on. So real quick, I'm on the Surface Pro, working in Clip Studio Paint. I'm using the EX version, which is a more expensive version, but has a story feature, which is really worth it. And I swear I'm going to get to that soon. One of these videos very shortly. And I'm using the TabMate controller, specially designed for Clip Studio Paint, because for those of you that work on a tablet, using a keyboard for keyboard shortcuts is probably not ideal. So having this specialized controller really helps a lot. And there we go. And let's get into it. I'm trying to get into it faster than last time. I don't know how long that was, because it wasn't timing. But here goes the timer now. 1 hour. Boom. So let's talk about layout. And by the way, I know my head is cut off for a lot of this. I'm aware of it. I'm going to be getting a webcam to fix that problem. So for now, you have to deal with this upshot. There's a little something for you. Comic books artists call this an upshot. In filmmaking terminology, this is called a low angle. There's a little tip for you. Anyway, so let's talk about layout and the layout stage. And in the layout stage, what is this? Why are you lagging now? What changed? Don't understand. Okay. In the layout stage, you want to stay fast and loose. You want to block in like large shapes. Like if you're going to draw a person, you block in where the person's going to be, and suppose someone's behind them. you kind of put that person there, and then like if they're inside a building, then you can see the roof, and then like there's a door behind them, and then this is like you're giving everything a home. You're setting the stage, so then that way when you look at it, you can realize you want to make changes. Like this guy, you want him to be like further away toward the door, so you can resize him and put him back toward the door a little bit. Yeah, a lot of this is just me waiting on my program to cooperate. Yeah, see, I gave it an option command it wasn't quite comfortable with. Anyway, it's because of the recording. It doesn't always do this, so I have to figure that part out. Anyway, so yeah, so layout stage. So like here we did that really quickly. We have our, we have everything in place. So then when you go in and you add details, like you can just add on top of this, and it makes it a piece of cake. You're noticing I just made that into a woman very easily. But you want the layout stage to go this fast. If you're going slower for the layout stage, you generally don't want to go much slower. And there's no, in the layout stage, there's no right or wrong at the time. It's just free flowing creativity, laying ideas down, seeing if they work, seeing if you got to fix them. You don't want to spend too much time on anything because it's going to take more time to fix it. Anyway, so for a group shot, we got 5 people, got 5 characters, and we know, let's see who's coming up here. So the first one you see is Aurora. So these are the 5 characters we're going to draw. So we got Aurora. She's a wood elf, and she's, I think, Tiffany said she's, oh god, she's gonna hate me. I think she said she's like around 5 foot. Apparently wood elves aren't that tall. And then here's a 3 shot. And you see Aurora in front, and I'm gonna be using this to reference her costume. I put some effort into this drawing, and I really like it. So for the most part, I'm gonna get these 3 characters to look pretty much like this. But anyway, so that's Aurora in the front. Wood elf, about 5 foot. To her right is Dagny, a bard, owned by Amy Oakes, and she's got her instrument there. I'm not sure if that's called a lyre or a lute, or it's a medieval violin. That's what it is. And she's holding a dagger because she's really good at throwing daggers because of her background that the player created, which is kind of a circus performer throwing knives and whatnot. And then to Aurora's left is Adriel, who is also a wood elf. Oh, so Dagney is a half elf. I didn't ask what type of elf she's half with. So half human, half elf. And then to Aurora's left is Adriel, and he is a full wood elf, just like Aurora. And he is a little bit taller than her. Although I'm curious how tall he should be in relation to any human characters. In the D&D world, humans are like the standard, like this, that all other things are kind of measured against. So would he be taller than a normal human? I want him to feel kind of like, I keep thinking like Legolas from Lord of the Rings. So I do feel like I want him to be a bit taller than most humans that he comes across. So yeah, anyway, continuing on, we have Rollo, and Rollo is a halfling, so he's going to be definitely shorter than Aurora, any of the elves, and they actually do kind of fall about half height of humans. So his eye level is going to be around people's stomachs. That's Rollo. And then Abraxas. And Abraxas is supposed to be kind of like the tank in the group. He's a paladin. a humanoid paladin, and he's supposed to feel large. So he's going to be the tallest in the group. There's another shot at Dagny after a performance. I don't know if you've seen this before. Let's go closer. You guys can see. Oh, I wonder if that changed anything in the sub view. Probably not. Let's see. So from Great Show down to her waist, slightly below the knife. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, okay. I wasn't supposed to do that. I'm gonna have a hell of a time fixing that. Well, it's just at this point when it's on the side, it's a bonus, okay? I'll fix it in the future. Anyway, here's Dagney. I wanted to get it closer because I wanted you to see what she's saying. Great show, Miss Dagney. Dagney, in order to meet you, Lady Dagney. She says, charmed, I'm sure. So that's that. And there's me, which I'll leave up at times to annoy you. Okay, so we come here to the group first. This is a good reference. So, layout. And we are 8 minutes and 45 seconds since I said we were starting to draw, and we haven't started drawing yet. We are now. Layout. So think big. Think big shapes. So how do I first, I'm gonna think about, do I want to have like some narrative? Like, is there a setting that the characters could be in that would have all 5 of them? Or I can draw each of them kind of in a pose, sort of like, you know, to kind of convey what kind of character they are. Like if it's an inn, is there Dagney performing for the inn, and then Rollo's like stuffing his face, or maybe chugging a beer. Abraxas is abstaining from the beer. You know, that's one example. I was thinking earlier about making it so that each of the characters in the group shot, I could pull the art out of it and make that their individual character art. So, you know, so at any given time, I can show character art of Dagney or Adriel, just them, but then that same image can plug back into the group shot. They do it in like video games all the time, especially like the old school video games. So I think that's what I'm going to try to do. Kind of limits the narrative scenario that I just mentioned, since the individual character shots are going to have to serve a broader purpose. But I think in this case, it's I should start with what I will be most useful first, and then I can get specific later on. So, okay. Okay, so we're just gonna, so we have to make sure that we get a good view of everybody. And I know the question is, do I want, well here, I'm gonna draw about their proportions to each other. And then I'm going to rearrange them. So first I'm starting with Abraxas. Like, how big would Abraxas be? Maybe, already I'm running out of space, so already I'm at the upper limits of the detail that I mentioned earlier. I shouldn't get much more detail than this, especially since I'm going to be moving them around. So this would be about the size of Abraxas. And that's the biggest one. Now I'm going to make a new layer. I'm actually going to put these all in the same folder. I'm going to make a new layer for the other character. And now the second tallest, well, let's the one who's the most normal size, I'd say, would be Dagney. And let's make Dagney about this big. I know, always think about what you know and embrace what you don't know. I know that when she interacts with Abraxas, I want her head at least below his chin. I want her head in his chest. When Abraxas meets most humans, he's got to be taller than them. He's got to seem kind of like a monstrous being. So I think the normal man's face would be here. And that might be about where Adriel's face is. Dagney, I still want her to be on the feminine side and a little bit more petite. So I'm going to start dropping her down a bit to maybe about there. And then there you go. That's going to be the size of Dagney. So now I know how tall Dagney is, how big Dagney is compared to Abraxas. That's some of the usefulness of these group shots, the relative size of characters. Anyway, so now how do I draw Dagney the correct size? Well, here's a good quick lesson. Let's draw a line to the ground to her feet, and as you may have already known, the waist falls about halfway up the body. And her head might need to be resized, but anyway. So with that in mind, we can draw the rest of Dagney's body. Her hips. There's down to her feet. Like that. And I can already tell that I need her waist to be higher. There we go. That means her legs. There. Her knees are about there. That's the size of Dagney. And Adriel, like I mentioned before, let's go ahead and draw Aurora. So let's give a new layer. Aurora, a little bit taller, a little bit shorter than Dagney, a little bit more petite. I wanted to draw her facing here, but that's probably not a good idea. She should probably be front on. It could be about there. Now, the upper torso can be made kind of like a V shape most often, especially for women. And the knees fall, as you might have guessed, about halfway down the leg. And there's Aurora. And now we have Adriel, so I'll go and put Adriel on the other side here. Now Adriel gets to be a little bit below his chin. Adriel gets to be the second largest person. By the way, I'm going to take this opportunity to show you one of the benefits of being a digital artist. What if I just don't pay any attention to any of that? What if I just quickly draw a guy, not paying any attention how tall he is compared to anyone else? They're run out of space. Just have to make sure that the proportions on his body you know, match themselves. Okay, so I'm doing this really quickly, so I'm sorry. The joints, elbow, knee, halfway through the extremity. And with hands, I learned this trick. You can start by putting your hand placement where you want to do it, and then figure out how the arm has to be to reach the arm placement, the hand placement. Very good trick right there. Anyway, but dangling down by your side, the hand will actually fall, like the tips of the fingers will generally fall on men, kind of like around the bottom of the genitalia. So I'm putting his hands here down by his sides, and then I'm drawing the arms up to meet them. I can figure out where the elbows are from there. Anyway, so I just drew a human, I just drew a man. Didn't pay any attention to how tall he is compared to Abraxas. But now I'm going to use a resizing tool to plant the feet at Abraxas's, and now increase his height until it's where I want it to be. And yeah, there you go. That's a little bit below the chin, like I said. So then we have Abraxas. Now, on to our final party member, the halfling, which is the half the size of a normal person. So that would be about here, or I think maybe a little bit lower and smaller. So let's see, let's do let's use the females as more of a measure. And also, Rollo rides a dog, so he's got to be small enough to where if there's a dog, Rollo can ride it. Quick dog for you. So, is it a bad idea to put Rollo and the dog in the group shot? Very tempting. Let's not do it. But yeah, anyway, so normally you have to make sure that it looks like he can ride a dog, that he's small enough. Ride the dog without breaking the dog's back. And he has a top hat and beard. Anyway. Delitio. Foto delicia. Okay, so head height. About so tall. I can't help it when I draw halflings, which I haven't drawn many halflings, by the way. Oh, and now I'm going to show you another technique. So I drew the head about the size I want it to be. And I know his feet have to be here, so start with what you know. And midway up, his waist be about there. Let's give halflings shorter feet. So now we just fill in the parts that we didn't know. And now we have his hands, and you know the hand trick. And I know I want his hands down around by his waist, right? So, and he's definitely not a thin guy, so we don't have to make that any thinner. And then he has hands, which you know, sorry, halfling, they're not going to be that long. So now we drew a halfling using what we knew and filling in what we did not know. And here are all of our party members. So now I wonder, oh, so here's a Clip Studio paint trick for you. So as you see here, layer 6, I put 2 characters on the same layer. I want them all on their own layer so I can move them around quickly. So I'm going to select that layer, I'm going to select Rollo, and now I'm going to come down to the bottom of this, and nope, no I'm not. I'm going to right click, or on the stylus I'm going to hold the button and click and touch, And I'm gonna select oh no, I'm not. See, get ahead of myself. It's down here. It's at this toolbar that pops up when you make a selection. You want cut and paste. You're going to cut it from this layer and paste it onto its own layer. And then deselect. And now you can see layer 6 copy. Rollo's on his own layer. Boom. I see something did not move over. What did not move over? Guess I'll find out eventually. Anyway. So, and by the way, you're going to see me doing this for some of these early videos because I want them to feel kind of like they were live streams that got recorded so that they feel organic. Frankly, I don't have the time or the editing tools right now to make really highly polished videos. Cut out all the fat, but that'll happen eventually, but not here in the beginning. Anyway, so now we can think about how to rearrange these characters. Putting the tall guy all the way on the end, probably not the best idea. I kind of like him as next to center. Now, with a group of 5 people, the character who's in the center is going to kind of feel like the party leader, which, you know, to be fair to your group as a DM, it's a pretty sensitive subject. We're 23 minutes in. Okay. So, who should be in the center of the group shot? What are the relationships of the characters? Who has a strong relationship? The elves I know have a strong relationship with each other. The 2 females, I think they understand each other. I think they can count on each other. Abraxas is a bit of an outsider. He's more aloof. So maybe I will put Abraxas on the outside. And in the other art, I have kind of established a curious thing about this group. How there's 3 elves. And they've rescued a bunch of people from the city of El Terrell. And I've decided in the campaign that those people are pretty much human. So these 3 elves rescued all these humans from El Terrell. So they're kind of like the elven guardians of these humans from El Terrell. So to keep 3 elves together in the center might not be a bad idea. It will look like it's going from tallest to shortest. You know what? That's okay. Let's just do it. Let's see what it looks like. So now I can just select his layer, select the move tool here on the far left, and move him where Abraxas is. Now I can select Abraxas and move him over and swap places. Tallest to shortest, like a lineup. Fine, let's do it. Cowboy Bebop. They have something like that. Alright, so there we go. Now, I bet you there's a function in here. I don't know how to do it. I'm going to go character by character and give them their time in the sun. Let's go ahead and keep all that together, and let's lower the opacity on everybody. Now let's make a new layer for each character, or a new folder for each character. This is going to be Abraxas. You notice a lot of times I don't label my folders and my layers. Sometimes it bites me in the butt. You can kind of tell like when it's time to label things. But anyway, a lot of times I like to use colors instead of actually taking the time to type things. So that helps. Because I'm on a tablet, I don't have a keyboard, so typing things is time consuming for me. So anyway, so I'm actually going to select this folder that has all the red art. I'm going to make it blue. I'm going to blue line it. That's my favorite thing to do. Lower the opacity. Okay, great. Now I'm going to build up from here. I'm going to work up from this. And I don't have to follow this this rigid stance that he's in. This was just to get the proportions right. So let me think about Abraxas. Big, hulking, has a sword, a shield. Is he holding a shield? What's his stance? I think I want him to be kind of like looking off the side. And like if he's got his head up a bit, it kind of creates a feeling of creates a feeling of you know, size and confidence and superiority. Maybe something like that, but even more to the side. Maybe something like that. Not totally in love with it. Actually, you know what? I like it. Let's keep it. Maybe we can fix it later. So he's got armor on, so got a lot of mass here. He's got shoulder plating, or whatever these are called up here. His waist is accurate, so I'm gonna keep his waist. I'm going to keep his waist. You know what? Let's pull up the Abraxas reference. This is pretty much the only drawing I have of him that I really like. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Let's look. I'm gonna look real quick to see if you're seeing the whole subview still. Okay, not bad. I'll take it. Yeah. Okay, so subview. I can move this, I just can't resize this. I'll have to remember that. What do I want him doing? I want him to be... I want him to have his shield and his sword. Let's have him holding a spear, because he's got these javelins that he's already used in the campaign. And I think if he was to be holding it, that would be... It would, you know, indicate that he does have this other type of weapon. And it would create kind of more of a Grecian warrior type of feel to it. And it creates a, and, you know, it's a nice way to finish off this group shot here. So yeah, let's have him hold that, and then he'll have his sword. He'll have his sword here, so that we know he's got a sword. Now with this hand, he's going to be holding his shield, but it's going to be like strapped. So, I mean, the trade-off is you don't get to see what's on the shield, and now we're kind of moving over into his Adriel's territory, which is going to be fine because each one's going to have a lair, so I can pull him out no problem, even if he's overlapped. So do we need to see what's on the shield? No, I'd rather see. I'd rather see what Abraxas looks like. I lied about these things. These actually are like this. And let's see, what else do we know? So we know he's got like this this emblem here, which for the campaign is the Hellrider symbol. All these characters exist outside of D&D. They've been, as you can say, ported into the game, so a version of them is running in the game. So for their versions of them for this game, he is a Hellrider, so he's got the Hellrider symbol on his tunic. Let's see. So in keeping with the fact that he wears the tunic, well, I should have gotten reference of Greek and Roman armor. I know they have like these things that come down, so I'll probably stay with that, with that idea. So he gets these long protective leather straps here, and change things up. He'll go ahead and get one of these like tunic guys in the center, so it's going to be like kind of a mix of everything. Not to mention, never mind, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. But does he have armored boots, or does he have leather? Does he have like the leather strappies? I feel like he... Well, he rides horseback. It's probably leather. Yeah, he's got leather riding boots. You knew the answer. Thanks. He's got leather riding boots. Oh, but do they have... Oh, people wear like higher boots? Does he got like chick boots on? That thing? No, let's not do it. Let's keep it like cowboy size, but higher. There we go. It's fine. This part keeps striking me as off, so go with your intuition. Go with your gut. There's nothing wrong. You see everything's really sketchy. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. Is there anything I'm missing? Is there anything else? I want him to have maybe more javelins. His back. All right. I think we spent enough time with him. Come back to him later. Time check. 35 minutes. Let's see how long it takes us to finish this character. Always be aware of time. So 35 minutes. Okay, let's see how long it takes. So let's make a new layer, and now we're gonna do Adriel. What would be a cool pose for Adriel? Because his main thing is he's an archer. Something with his bow. Oh, by the way, I definitely want is it in this reference photo? if you look like that, you gotta have you know, you gotta have one of these shindigs. You gotta have a cape or a cloak. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. No reference. Shh. Okay. Coming on to Adriel the Archer. Something with a bow. Could be holding his bow. Oh, let me update the reference here. So we're looking, I'm thinking about, that's Rollo. Thinking about that dude there on the right. When I drew this drawing, he ended up being kind of like Last of the Mohican style, influenced. I had just seen that movie. Again with Tiffany. Great movie, by the way, if you've never seen it. Daniel Day-Lewis. Yeah. Anyway. So, let me think. And let's think about his character. So, Abraxas, big, tall, squared up, nothing to hide. Not threatened. Adriel, in the game, the player played him as pretty stealthy. He would attack from behind cover, so he does like stealth. Very tempted to draw him crouching. Very tempted to draw him crouching. Does that upset this kind of layout that we're doing? Yeah, it's going to go super high to super low to... And you're not going to get an idea of just how tall he is. Very tempting. We'll do that in the different time. A different time we'll do that one. But I am going to draw him as... what you see me, what's going on right now is I'm looking at this and I'm actually picturing different poses. And I'm allowing my memory a chance to call up cool poses I've seen in the past, or I'm imagining him looking left and looking right, looking center, slouched, back to us, one avoid, back to us for this. Well, as you will often hear me say, might as well just start drawing. He's got his bow. He's holding his bow. Got his hand on his bow. Start with the things you know. We know his hand is down around his crotch level. So how does that look? I've seen it before where they have the row kind of at the ready, holding at the bow low, and they're holding the arrow down low, ready to pull if they need to. So it's like and then there's the arrow. And then his other hand is like here. So then I have to connect his arm here. And then this, he's got this one like close to his body. I think it's like that. It's like the ready bow stance. I like it. Let's go with it. Why not? can always change it later. I think the head is right size. We know he has long hair. We know he has what's it called? Tell me what it's called. I forgot. That. And it's not a headband. There's another word for it. Like the ring, like the metal ring. That he's got on there. Anyway. Let's keep his poncho. Love the poncho look. And because he likes stealth so much, it makes sense that he would have like a poncho type of look on it. And then it's got like these long things that come down and conceal his body even more. Sick. Those eyes in there. Ears poking out. Alright, now we gotta do his arrows. I remember his arrows. Different ways to draw arrows. I've seen some people draw arrows where like all the arrows are like kind of bunched together, like because of gravity, and that makes sense to me. That's pretty cool. I have a tendency to draw them evenly spaced out, like there's something inside the quiver that's holding them spaced out. But whatever. Let's see. Okay, his waist. What does his waist look like? I don't remember what weapons he has. Let's see. Oh, he's used 2 daggers before. These 2 daggers. And let's give him. Also he's a hunter. So let's give him cool huntery garb, like these long like petticoats. Is that what they're called? Where they, it just protects you more from the elements, like if there's like mud splashing around and whatnot. He's got to have good boots too. He's going to be traveling through all kinds of terrain. He's got to have good boots. All right, cool. Is there anything there? Maybe not. And if he seems on the slender side, that just to our benefit, because he's an elf. They're supposed to be androgynous for the most part. If you don't know what that means, look it up. 44 minutes. So I think 35 is what I said. So about 9 minutes, 10 minutes, pretty good. So now, see, this is the good part about keeping track of time. Now I look at the other 3 characters, and I know if it takes me about 10 minutes each, it's going to take me half an hour to do those other 3 characters. If I work at the same pace. And I look at my watch, and there's 15 minutes left. So we hit an hour. So now I can make a decision. And this is a lesson about keeping on schedule for meeting deadlines. As a storyboard artist, or I imagine as a comic book artist, I haven't completed a full comic book project yet, but the same time management skills are going to come into play. So now I got, but now I make decisions. I look at the time I have, I look at the work left to be done, and I make decisions. So I'm going to leave those guys. I'm going to do a part 2. But for this part, the remainder of this part, I'm going to make sure that you guys get a little bit of a payoff here. I'm going to go back. Azak. And we're going to give Abraxas some lovin'. New folder. A folder within a folder. Abraxas in the folder. New layer on top. Abraxas gets blue lined. Reduce opacity. And now we have fun with pencils. I'm using 2H pencil down here, which has been my favorite recently. It keeps changing. I'm using 1 width, and I'm going to actually set the color to like a grayish, a dark gray, so that it kind of feels like actual graphite. And without getting... Oh, and by the way, look, 100% zoom. This is the actual size. So I'm not going to get any closer than this. Anyway, so now we have fun. We did the hard work of the layouts, which, by the way, we also had fun with because we were doing only what we intended to do, which was kind of like gesture in and kind of sloppily make the layout. We weren't trying to be detailed. We didn't stress ourselves over that. And now the reward is we get to spend time doing detail here. Now, I have to make sure to make his helmet a bit bigger than his normal skull would be. Otherwise, it's like the helmet is all over him like a mask. It's not. And it also kind of swoops forward at the bottom with points. It's got like a line that comes up there. That. His logo, Hellriders, is right there. And then for him, he has horns that are attached to his helmet. Kind of come back. And honestly, I keep changing up how I want the horns to appear. So this might be yet another version of the horns. And on top of his helmet, because it's he is supposed to be inspired by Greek and Roman soldiers, and he is a cavalier. He rides horseback mostly, so he's gonna have one of these cool plumes up top that just makes him look even more grand. And also on the battlefield helps the other soldiers quickly identify him and follow him, keep track of him. And you can keep track of the other officers. Well, and then, you know, sometimes I'll get rid of the blue lines just to see what I'm actually ending up with there. I have to exit. Time check. 50 minutes. Okay, so we got 10 more minutes left in this shebang. He has chainmail that actually comes up under his helmet. You don't actually get to see any of his flesh. I remember there's like this connecting yeah. That so he's got all this armor on. He's got some leather armor, some metal plating, and he's got that tunic over his chainmail. So that's what this is. And then I also have to remember he has a cloak. He has a cape. So I want him to have his cape attachments here. Which is pretty cool. If you see like the Roman soldiers in movies take the cape off, it's pretty rad. This part gets tricky for me. But this actually comes with this. Around his body. Now, do I want to do one of these numbers? No, let's just leave it. Let's just leave it flat. And then the leather shoulder protector comes out. So then you got the leather dudes that come down from shoulder protector over here. This one we're gonna let it be a little bit in front of the arm just to show a little bit of difference. You got the horseshoe. You got these guys. I haven't really drawn a lot of armor, believe it or not, and I definitely haven't drawn much of this type of like Roman inspired armor, so I've yet to work out tricks involved in drawing it properly. 53 minutes. Let's see, so he's got those long gloves. He's got that, whatever that strap was holding. I totally know what that strap is. Let's draw his long gloves here. And again, I'm drawing what I know. I know this is chainmail. It's almost gonna be kind of baggy. Just be careful about waves for no reason, because it's all being pulled down by weight, by gravity. It's all heavy. And then his shield, his hand. Alright, now I'm gonna come in close for the hand, because I gotta do cool hand work. So when you're drawing a hand, it helps to draw like the square for the palm, and then you know that the thumb always comes in from the side, and then it's got like its own muscle group here. It's patty, and then there's the other muscle part of the palm, and then the rest of it, this part here kind of like goes at an angle, and this is where all the knuckles are. Then you can draw the fingers coming out from the hand, and also remember that the tips of the fingers kind of follow along with the curve of the palm. They don't go straight across or anything like that. So you can kind of like imagine where the tips of the fingers would be, and then draw your fingers in there, evenly spaced. And then kind of divine what the width of the fingers would be. And then that's, you know, a pretty basic way to draw a hand. And then this muscle actually comes down a bit further, and then you got the tendons, and then the wrist. That's a quick rundown of how to draw hand. Draw much better hands. That was just really, come on, I don't have much time, computer. 5 minutes. Get rid of that. So anyway, so palm, muscle, thumb, bent, and then fingers, bent, holding. Boom, hand. Strap going through, connecting to shield. There, we just got him to hold his shield. Good for us. Shield. General shape. Need more practice with shields. That's fine. Just generic kind of like heart, whatever it's called, crest shape shield. Let's give him like wrapping, because the Hellriders, they're actually They're holy. They worship. Oh, you know what? Let's make this a satchel. It's in there. It's in there. So let's give him kind of like almost like a priest kind of deal. Look, he's got beads coming down from his cupboard bun waistband. Why would a warrior have such a thing? He's a holy warrior. That's why. He's got one of these cool flappy flaps. This guy is cool. He's got his leather armor straps coming down here. They flap around loose and easy. He's really mobile. Oh, this guy's looking great. It wouldn't be a D&D drawing session. We didn't have a cool sword. Here, I'll get close for the sword. We didn't have a cool sword. Now I think it's supposed to be a long sword. Remember, draw the scabbard wider than the blade. Don't give your sword a face mask. Don't give your heads a face mask. Don't give your swords a face mask. Alright. That's good. That's long enough. Cool. Now, it's reinforced by the hilt, and a lot of times it's reinforced at the bottom. That's where it smacks into a bunch of stuff. And then you gotta have a way to fasten it to things, so you got straps going. Got straps going across it. Boom. And then, you know, it can be going up and connecting to something under the wrappings there. Okay. Ooh, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. So I'm gonna make this. We're gonna cheat on the boots here because of the time. And then I want you guys to see what he looks like with his awesome cape, tunic, whatever. These javelins are kind of like a cross with a spear. They're like a special Hellrider javelin. I'm gonna do quick hands. Holding spear or javelin. It's gonna keep happening, isn't it? I want you guys to see what it looks like. And the pencils on him are pretty much done. Oh yeah, let's do his son. Oh god. 59 minutes. I think we just did it. Just did it. Just pulled it off. Alright. 1 hour. We got all of these characters lined up. We got pencils done on Abraxas. This is what the bad boy looks like. And now we're going to do that for the other characters. And that's going to wrap it up here for this part 1 of, I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe a 5-part series. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. And keep drawing.